Today's video is sponsored by our good friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, located in Melbourne, Florida. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter on the link below, as well as Docking Bay 94, located in Boca Raton, Florida. Check us out on comicsandgames.com. And Ian's Display Accessory, the best figure stands for your iconic Kenner Star Wars and Hasbro G.I. Joe figures, as well as modern figures, shipping nationwide, and EGS Expert Grading Services, the Gen X preferred place to get your comics graded and encased. Welcome to another fun and informative episode of Codename New to Vero 2. Hi, I'm your presenter, Shabu RU, and today we're going to look at the Walmart exclusive G.I. Joe Lady Jaye. And again, it goes without saying that this is the figure that is difficult to find amongst all the other ones. But hey, there's an added bonus in this episode. I'm going to show you the wonderful packaging that Walmart.com has given me. So yes, this is as soon as you open it, and I know a lot of people in the community. I've seen you, I've heard you, and this is just an ongoing problem. It all stems from those very thin card backs that these figures come in. And I have to say, outside from Snake Eyes, the only other character that is generating a lot of buzz in the last 3 months is Lady Jaye. And out of the three vintage female characters, it's funny. They're all unique and different, but they're all enduring to the fan base. And I think that, Lady Jaye, again, typical G.I. Joe female, strong, independent, willing to fight for what she believes in. And that, again, it's a positive message for kids then and kids today, and I think that goes without saying. Now, regulars of this channel and the G.I. Joe community know that whenever I do look at an action figure, I like to bring a little bit of the mythos from the comics while we look at an action figure, because, that kind of gets boring, and plus with all of these new bandwagon jumpers, I thought it'd be good to, give them a bit of a history as we look at the action figure. And just like Roadblock, who we looked at earlier, Lady Jaye's, fanfare really blossomed through the Sunbow cartoon series, where it was seen that often that it was known that her and Flint were a couple together. And, in the comics, I would say that they were couple B outside of Scarlet and Snake Eye. So they were the B team. But on the flip side, you can't think of one without thinking about the other. So you always think of Flint and Lady Jaye, where Snake Eyes and Scarlet, you could view them as their own separate entity. And proof is in the pudding. Both of their classified action figures are coming out together as well. So that just adds more of what that notion that I'm talking about. Also, in a recent episode of this channel, I actually highlight a few of the upward trending G.I. Joe comics. And one of the ones that has grown out of nowhere is issue number 32, the first appearance of Lady Jaye in the comic. And I am shocked at the prices that I'm seeing. And again, this is all as a result of the announcement or a rumor that Amazon and Hasbro are working on a Lady Jaye series that will be on Amazon Prime, which is a great idea. I think that's wonderful. Now, regulars have been treated to this ongoing comic grading 101, and I've been continuing on this series, and it's a great spot if you want to learn yourself. So look at this 9.8 issue number 32, and could be going for around $200 to $300. 9.8, which is a high grade and encased in a grading services capsule. And it's funny because if you have this in your collection, or if you go to comic shops, you might find this for like $2 or $3. So do the math, you send this in, spend the $15 to get graded, And then if depending on if it's a high grade, that's a big turnaround. And that's why all these millennials and young pain in the butts are trying to scoop all of these up so they could sell it. So if you have one in your collection, hold on to it and send it to EGS grading services to get sealed and looking really nice. Here's another interesting thing while we look at some of the covers she's been featured on. It just seems that Lady Jaye was strategically placed there to keep Flint from going batshit crazy. And the comics, we've seen Flint do borderline some terrible things. And it just seems like Lady Jaye was that voice of reason to bring him back from going to the dark side. Which brings me to issue number 79. And I think this issue gets overlooked all the time. And it's interesting because, the Civil War, Cobra Civil War has just ended, and both sides, or all sides, are just standing there. And then this girl fight breaks out between Zorana and Lady Jaye. And you see, like, both sides are sitting there like they're back in high school watching a girl fight in the hallway. And both sides are like, oh, because everyone knows when girls fight, it is damn scary because girls want to annihilate each other. With guys, they fight and then shake hands or maybe have a beer or tea afterwards. But no, when girls fight, it is like to the death. But it's just funny to watch, like reread this panels again, and you get a good kick out of it, because the Cobra Civil War was so intense. And then you have this moment at the end, and that's why that's the beauty of this issue. Now, in the modern IDW run, I mean, it's cool to see that Lady Jaye still has a prominent role in the comics. And mostly she's allocated to covert operations. But the other thing is you have to remember is back in the Marvel run, there was only 5 female characters. In the 21st century of Raha, Larry Hama has introduced a lot of female characters, and it's really cool to see that Lady Jaye is still featured in a prominent role. And this issue, I think, is issue 171, where kind of like that Black Widow scene in, I think it was Avengers, like Major Blood was beating the shit out of her, and she's still kind of like, getting all the intel, and then Chuckles comes and saves her. Just the same thing as the Black Widow scene. That kind of plays out in this. So it's cool to see that despite all these new female characters, that an old school prominent female character is still heavily featured in this modern incarnation of Raha. And I guess I might as well mention the G.I. Joe Retaliation movie, where she is portrayed by actress Adrienne Palicki. I guess that's how you pronounce her name. And let's be honest, guys and girls out there, probably one of the best scenes in the movie, and what makes this movie somewhat redeemable is the scene of her in the red dress. Yes. So that's basically it. And to Adrienne's credit, she did a good job portraying the character. And I think this is probably where the idea for the Amazon Prime germinated, so to speak. I think they saw how she did it, and maybe that's what led to this. All right, so now it's time to move on to the action figures. And of course, you have to start with the 1985 version 1 of Lady Jaye. Initial reaction wasn't too favorable, even reaction now, because it doesn't look anything like her Sunbow character, and who doesn't wear a baseball cap. The other interesting thing to note is Allison Hart Burnett here is a Bryn Mawr graduate, and Kimura Shikage is also an alumni of that institution. And the funniest thing is Ron Rudat has gone on record with saying with her, her blouse, if you look at those comic issues, like she always has like a low cut military shirt. Somehow I don't think that's code. But he did that as a joke to see when they would tell him to stop. And I guess that's just continued on with the comics. They always have her, with, you could see side boob or whatever, but it's just funny, like that's just been continuing on. I'm sad to say that actually segues into looking at her 25th anniversary figure. And again, the one thing that is notice her cleavage on this action figure. So that was really noted. Some fans are actually disappointed that with this opportunity they didn't make her look more like the Sunbow version of her. But again, this whole series is a modern interpretation of the iconic Marvel run, so that's why it's like this. And I think it's a great action figure. I liked it. It gives a nice modern update to this iconic figure. Now we jump to the figure that myself and many others think that is the arguably the definitive Lady Jaye figure, the figure to get version 7 as part of a DVD battles pack that was issued in 2008. Now this figure alone in the aftermarket can go for like $40 just to find, because it was part of a 3-pack. But as you see, I was able to get one. It's one of the ones actually targeted early, well, way back in the day. So now these things are getting up there. Now I want to take a minute and just step off to the side and talk about, like, you know what, when you saw my version of Lady Jaye, she was missing quite a few accessories. The same with this Lady Jaye. And I personally like 3D print guys that are making parts and accessories. I think they're really helps out. I know purists may be upset, but you know, as long as they're off color, I think I have no problem with utilizing reproduction accessories. And speaking of 3D printing, I know there's a seller on ESTY. He's selling this, and it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's hilarious too. So to each his own. So now that we got that little bit of silliness out of the way, let's start looking at this action figure. And I got to thank Walmart.com for, you know, pre-opening this for me before it even arrived. So thank you, Walmart.com, for the excellent job in service here. Now, I'd be remiss if I wanted to also include the Kitobashi statue that has also been released, and that is, again, probably $120 price point, but these whole series of these have been excellent. Now, like we do with every action figure, we look at the accessories, and again, less is more. The only thing I have a problem with is there's no pistol and no knife included with her. But again, she has the iconic javelin, and this is all new sculpt. So that's another thing that I like when you compare it to the 25th anniversary line here. They're using a completely different mold and scope, which is a good thing. But again, the backpack is attached to her, kind of like a parachute. Where in the 25th anniversary, you could either take the backpack on and off, and then here I have her with their 2008 Battles DVD, that iconic figure right there. And, you know, and of course, pairing with the version 1. And I think this is another job. I know that initial first wave, fans had an issue because there were reissues of the 50th anniversary line. But I think since wave 2, they have been improving with these tremendously. I mean, they're now like, I'm glad that they did that. Not all the attention has been going to the classified line. So here we have her on display with some of her contemporaries. And if you guys know my channel, when it comes to modern figures, I've been targeting female characters more so than their male equivalents. So I'm one of the few people that has a squadron of Night Stalkers and regular female Cobra Troopers, as well as Dr. Biggles Jones. So it's kind of cool that, that's my little niche that I have for myself when it comes to these modern figures. But I've always leaned more on the vintage era, more so than this. Well, anyway, that's my review of the Walmart Retro Lady Jaye. I'm glad you joined us. And again, this is just a reminder, don't be bashful. Please hit that like and subscribe button and help this little channel grow. This is a fan for fan site, and I like to keep it that way. Thank you and have a wonderful day.